so pumped to have our next guest on the show. Somebody who, as we've just discovered, it's been a little bit longer than I think we both realise it's been since we've had her on the podcast for the third time on this show to talk about her amazing bobsledding career and everything else in between. It's a pleasure to welcome back to the show, Bree Walker. Bree, welcome back to Off the Podium.
Thanks, Ben. So great to be back. And yeah, like I can't believe that it was 2022 when we last spoke. It only feels like yesterday.
I know, it's ridiculous to think it's been that long. And as I said to you off air, I just re-listened to that chat from 2022 and I sort of was scratching the brain going like, no, we've had her on since then. Like, there's no way it's been 3 years since we've had her on, but apparently it has. So, you know, but you've been a bit busy, got to say. You know, a few things have happened. It's actually funny. We were having a little group chat within sort of myself, Colin, Jared, and some of the other people who do stuff here on the show. And I sort of mentioned like, oh, we're going to have Bree back on the show, Bobsled Bree back on the show. And a couple of people are like, has she legally changed her name now to Bobsled Bree? Like, is that her actual name? And that got me thinking that maybe that could be a good idea to do that because, you know, Bobsled Bree coming down that pipe in Italy, that's a pretty cool thing for the commentators to call. So I don't know. You're so known as that.
I think they're going to call that anyways. It was so funny just how that's caught on. It was just like, you know, my Instagram handle, like back when I began in 2016, and then all of a sudden it's become like my nickname and like known all throughout Australia. So it's fun. It's a like, you know, great way to put like myself on the map, bobsleigh on the mat, and, you know, Australians all love a nickname. So I you know, I let people roll with it.
Let people roll, and the legal change can come afterwards with all the gold medals, maybe, you know, just kind of like really going into to that thing. But all jokes aside, as I said, it's been a big few years for you since you've been on this show, and we're obviously recording this. You're a week or so back from the most recent season overseas where you've done okay. Let's just say that nicely. 2 years in a row now that you've ended up second overall in the standings, second Crystal Globe runner-up. I mean, is it nice right now to take a bit of a breath, Bree, to kind of just, you know, sort of regroup after another busy and obviously very successful season for yourself?
Yeah, definitely. It was funny when I won the Crystal Globe, we had world champs after it, and it wasn't until I'd finished world champs that I actually took my Crystal Globe out of the box again and like looked at it, and it like kind of took in like what it took to achieve that for the second year in the row. Yeah, it's a great achievement. I'm really excited for the progress that I've made this season. The first time I became second overall, I was close to a few hundred points behind the athlete who came first there. But this season, I was only 40 points away from that top position. So for me, I love the progress that I've made over the last 3 years, I would say. And it's now looking to Olympic year, and I just want to build on that and, you know, go for the top step in both, you know, the overall standings, but also at the Olympic Games.
I just want to go over some, I was trying to work out some stats for you, and we're going to talk obviously on some specifics here of some of these races and everything that you've achieved in the last couple of years. But if my maths are correctly, since we last spoke, you've done 28 races. Now, this, of course, includes World Cups, European Cups, North American Cups, World Championships. I'm combining all of them here. 18 podiums, 25 top fives. Only 3 of those 28 races you've not finished in the top 5. And those 3 races, you still finished in the top 10. So every single one of those 28 races, top 10. I mean, not only are the medals nice, but this is just consistent form, Bree. So, like, what are the wheat bix? Are they increasing? Like, kind of like, you know, you putting a couple of extra teaspoons of Milo in the hot Milo there? Like, what's been going on there to keep this form up? Is there a secret that we need to know about here? Because this has been some strong form.
Yeah, I mean, those stats are wild. I didn't even realize that myself, and so that actually makes me really excited.
You're welcome.
I just think that, you know, we've kind of found the formula that works for me. Since I last spoke, I have a new head coach in Pierre Luders. He is a Canadian bobsledder who's Olympic champion and world champion himself, the most decorated Canadian bobsledder there has been so far. And he really knows what I need in order to be able to win. And we've just been building on that across the last 3 years. And so Yeah, those stats really like they're wild, and it really makes me quite excited to yeah, just keep going and keep working because it's clearly like, it's working.
It's working just a little bit because when we last spoke, one thing that you said, it was at the very beginning of the interview. You said that you just gotten back from Beijing at that point, and you said sort of at that period that you were there planning the next 4 years. You were sort of working out things like your financial plan, sort of your scheduling, and just generally a 4-year plan. Which I was going to start the interview with like that 4-year plan must have been a bloody strict plan if you then turn around and manage to get this sort of success. But I mean, it's crazy to sort of think that that's come from that and kind of the coach change and everything along those lines. So I really think that your planning success, I mean, I'm a planner. I love planning. So it's sort of, it's one of these things where, again, it's like, just I need to get these secrets from you, Bree, because that's obviously working for you very, very well.
Yeah, no, I'm a big planner, and pretty much I got off the plane from Beijing and started planning the like these 4 years. And I had very specific things that I knew I needed to tick, and people who I wanted to work with. And, they were big names that I wanted to work with. And people were like, Bree, there's no way that somebody from Australia with your low budget is going to be able to work with somebody like Pierre Luders. Like, he has coached the last 3 home nations, like Russia, Korea, and China. And so they're big nations, they're big teams, and everyone at the beginning of this Olympic cycle were like, he's going to go work with Italy. And I said, no, I'm getting him. And I just kept in contact with him across the following month, the months following Beijing. And it got to a point where I either wore away at him or he really just was like, nah, she's it, like she's legit, and let's do it. So that was kind of like a big box ticked for me. And then it was being able to get like the backing from the stakeholders. So OWIA and QAS have been the ones to create a program around me, and so having that financial backing was again another big tick for me. And then it was just finding like the other people who I wanted to work with. I really wanted to have a brakeman who was on the same level as me, as motivated to perform at a high level as I was. And it was a bit sad when Chiara decided that she was not going to continue after the Beijing Olympics. But I spoke to Pierre about her, and he was like, we'll get her back. And he came all the way out to Australia, and he met with her, and he kind of explained his philosophy and how he wanted to, help us build towards the Milano Cortina Olympics. And she bought in, and she came back, and we've had a lot of fun over the last 2 seasons. And then it was about finding a push coach that could help us in order to be able to build on our athletic ability, and then also a physio that can help us perform consistently and avoid injuries, because it's a really hard sport. It's not for the faint-hearted. You're out there in the cold, which makes you susceptible to injuries, and you're also running down a hill, so it's a lot of overspeed work. So it really pushes the body to a limit. And so having like the right physios around us to help us perform at such a high level constantly has been a really important thing for me. And it's just been about finding those puzzle pieces. And sometimes those puzzle pieces don't quite fit, or things might change and they don't fit anymore. And so it's just then like going back and being like, okay, what are our options? Who can we ask to come on board? And it's pretty much like running a business. And that's kind of what I really enjoy doing in the off season, is kind of putting the pieces of the puzzle together, working out our budget. And then obviously on the side of that, doing a lot of hard training. So in the off season, I kind of wear 2 hats, like run a business and also be an athlete. But I really have enjoyed my job and enjoyed what I've been doing over the last few years in order to create the success that I've had.
Sounds like Team Walker should be just like Walker Incorporated or like Walker Inc. or something like that, with just everything that you sort of putting together there. It's incredible to hear that, because it is sort of one of those bits where obviously, people would look from the outside, say the monobob, very individual. It's just you in that sled. But obviously, as you're saying, there's a whole team that sort of goes behind that. I mean, just with Pierre, though, to kind of have someone on board and the difference, obviously, that he's made. Like, I mean, is there like one thing that he does that sort of has made the biggest difference? And not to sort of talk down on any other coaches that you've had, but was there almost like a light bulb moment that he sort of starts working with you and you're all of a sudden like, well, hey, like, I've never looked at it this way. This is helping me. And that's maybe where sort of the successes come from, something he's changed up within yourself.
I think the thing that he has done that has made such a difference for me is that he has really recognized my talents, and he's like, Bree, like, you have such a good feel when it comes to driving, and you need to trust your instincts. And I don't think any other coach has done that, purely because they have just seen me as being an athlete from Australia. Like, why would an athlete of Australia know how to drive a bobsled? But for some reason, like, I have the skills and talents in order to be able to drive a bobsled pretty well. And Pierre has gone, yes, you do, and trust your instincts. And he has brought that more out of me more and more. And then what we're able to do is that I explain to him what I'm feeling and seeing inside the sled. And then with his years and years of expertise, I mean, he started sliding back when I was born in 1992. So he's been doing this for quite some time. So with his years of expertise, he's able then to take the information that I provide him and then make changes either on my sled, on the track, how I'm driving. And like, you know, we're one, or like, we're just, he's just the individual coach on the track, where other teams have multiple coaches on the track. So it's really crazy what we've been able to achieve with, like, you know, the limited like funds and the limited staff that we do have. But it's because he has really encouraged me and really, I'm struggling for the word, but like just brought, like, told me to trust my instincts and then use that information that I provide him in order to be able to produce great results.
And is it also a case of being Canadian? Canadians and Australians are very similar on many levels. And I think maybe does he sort of get more so, like, as an Australian, our lifestyle and where you've come from, versus if he would, say, go work with the Italians, who would have a much more different mindsets than the Australians would?
Definitely. Like, we talk about that all the time. Like, when I was working in Germany and working with German coaches, like, no offense to them, but they're very strict and very, like, military-like, and you know, it's, you can't be late and all those kind of things, and disciplined. And don't get me wrong, like, I'm quite disciplined in things, but we do have, like, we're quite laid back people, and we like to, you know, we enjoy ourselves, we enjoy our sport. And that's what brings the best out of us, is, like, you know, embracing that enjoyment. Oh, for me anyways. And Pierre is very similar. He's like, they're like, if you're not enjoying it, what's the point in doing it? And so we're always, like, enjoyment's always at the forefront. You know, we're really hard workers, and when we're at the track, we're very serious. But if we can walk away from a day of training or a race and be like, that was fun, then, you know, we've had a successful day. And so, yeah, there is a lot of things where we operate the same without even saying. And so I think that's also been a key to our success.
It's a mentality aspect of it. And again, it's no disrespect to the Germans or any other nation where, obviously, you know, for them it works. But
yes,
athletes are raised on that. So, like, a German sledder is going to be used to that. That's the German way of doing things, whereas that lifestyle might not translate into Australian. And same with, like, if an Australian coach the Germans, it's going to be the same thing, right? Because it's a mental thing, what you're talking about there, that is also so important outside of the very strict, you know, be here at 8 o'clock, do not be late type of lifestyle, right?
Yeah, no, definitely. Like, when I, like, towards my time, like the end of my time in Germany, I felt quite suffocated. And not because of what they were doing, it was because I didn't really have a life outside of training and outside of bobsleigh. And when I started working with Pierre, that was a very big element that he really wanted me to have. He's like, you need to have a life outside of this, Bree. Like, you need to, you know, be able to go and enjoy your time with your friends and not feel guilty. You need to be able to go enjoy the things that you love and not feel like, you're missing out on any recovery time or anything like that because you're out there having like a good time living life. And so that for me, like it took a little bit, I was like, oh, I don't know if I feel comfortable doing all this, but now I feel like I have quite a good balance for me. It's not, don't get me wrong, it's not a balanced lifestyle. I spend majority of my time, training and recovering and eating the right things and doing all the things that an elite athlete does. But I have more of a life outside of my sport anymore. And I do think that that's been a real reason why I've been so successful over the last 3 years is because I've been able to, feel all like tick all the boxes that fill my cup and set my soul on fire. And so I'm just a happier person, and it feels more holistic than I've ever had in my career so far.
Set your soul on fire. I love that line. Like, just use that. Like, use that more often, I think. Like, if you're getting the merch out in the lead up to Milano Cortina, like Bobsled Bree shirts, yeah, back on the shirt, set my soul on fire. It just works somehow. So, take that one to the bank. I also always like to connect things. We have a very big love for a certain mogul skier on this show, Dale Begg-Smith. Now, I'm going to rewind back to 2006, the last time we had a Winter Olympics in Italy. Canadian Dale Begg-Smith comes to Australia, wins us a gold medal. You've now got a Canadian on board with you, coaching you at an Olympics in Italy. I'm just saying it works. This just must be a magic formula. Canadians, Australians, Italy, boom, gold medals. It works, right?
I mean, I'm now basing myself in Calgary in Canada. I'm very much living the Canadian lifestyle. I feel very home there now. So, it's maybe it is a formula.
It's just saying. I love Calgary. Calgary, a great city. I got to ask, have you jumped on the Flames train? Are you a Flames fan now living in Calgary?
Flames fan,
yes. Bree, yes. Good on you. That's what we like to hear. I mean,
number 10, Huberdeau, he's my man.
Yes, we love Huberdeau. Although this season's a bit nervous, obviously hanging on the cusp of a playoff spot. I mean, I know you're an Essendon supporter, so we can forgive you that. But at least you come on board the correct NHL team. So I'll say that. I mean, just quickly, I've got to check in as an Essendon supporter. How are you feeling? I mean, we're recording this quite early in the season. You finally had a win on the weekend, so congrats. I'm a Carlton man, so I don't know what winning's like in 2025. So must be nice.
Yeah, no, that was my first game that I've watched this season and we won. So hey. I was happy with that. So yeah, hopefully we're going to be on an upward trajectory from here.
Yeah, positivity. I like that kind of going with that. Just on obviously the results I was talking about. I mean, big ones that happened sort of in that period. The gold medals, obviously last season, the first ever Australian to get a gold medal in a World Cup event in a sliding sport, and you back that up most recent season with 2 more. I mean, just take us back to that first one though, that you get the gold in Lake Placid in 2024, and that feeling and just the history and everything that came with that moment there, Bree, to kind of claim that gold medal and create history for Australian winter sport.
Yeah, it was an awesome moment. I'll take you back to the season before. Pierre and I decided that we needed to go to Lake Placid because I needed to relearn the track. I had learned it back at the beginning of 2019, and it was just like a few days there. I didn't have like really a coach there helping me out. It was just an IBSF coach, and which is like our International Bobsleigh Federation. Smaller nations often use the International Bobsleigh coach. And so I'd completely forgotten how to drive it. And he goes, Bree, I think we need to go there and I need to teach you how I would drive it. And I'm like, okay, no problem. So it was just me and him running around this track at a North American Cup. And he was reteaching me how to drive it. I didn't have any help at the top or down the bottom of the track to help me get my monobob off. And so he would be videoing me in a corner and then run up to the finish dock to help me get my sled off the track. And it was a lot of fun. It was just us two, trying to make it work. We were so tired at the end of the day, but I walked away with a win from that North American Cup. And so I was like, you know what? I think I can do really well here in the next few years. And I'm really glad that like I've gone and done this. And so the following season, we did our first full year of World Cup, and Chiara came back on board, and so I was doing like both monobob and two-man, and I was pretty like towards the end of the season, I was getting like pretty tired, but we had world champs in Winterberg, and Winterberg is one of my favorite tracks, and so I really knew that I was in the running for a medal there, especially in the monobob. And so I was doing really well in that competition. For those who don't know, World Champs and Olympic Games is across 4 heats, whereas a World Cup is normally across 2 heats. And for the first 3 heats, I was in a medal position. And I've never been in a medal position in a highlight event before. And so that last heat, I'd kind of I'd gotten out, the best way to describe it, like I'd gotten out of my zone. The whole those 3 heats, I was in such a zone and it was just blinkers on. But it was quite confronting because I'm not sure if people realize, but majority of my World Cup career has been in COVID. There hasn't been any crowds, and you would go to a World Champs and it's kind of dull and gloomy. Our Olympic Games was the same kind of thing. And so this was a first World Champs that was loud and it was rowdy, and the German crowd was like really wild in Winterberg.
Yeah.
And that fourth heat, that crowd and the commentator really like got me off guard, and I for whatever reason my blinkers went off and I started thinking too much. And I made a mistake in a like a really important part of the track, and I dropped from second to fourth. And when I like normally, like, you know, back when before Beijing in the monobob, you can make that kind of mistake and you wouldn't really drop a position, or you would maybe drop 1 position. But the competition's so tight these days that you make one small mistake with these girls and you drop places. And so that for me was just so heartbreaking, but it was such an important lesson for me to learn, that, you know, you got to keep your blinkers on no matter what. And you just stay in your zone, and you got to focus on your cues that you need to execute within the run. And so when we went to Lake Placid, which was after the World Champs, I was just like, I'm going to use this lesson and be able to execute the best race that I possibly can. And it was my first World Cup in Lake Placid. I've never competed there on a World Cup level. And I was so tired from like the season that was, but I was so determined to be able to like learn my lesson from Winterberg and go and perform really well in Lake Placid. And so I just put all my lessons and all my energy into this race. And I came down in that first heat with a track record, and I was sitting in first, and I just put blinkers on. I was just like, there is nothing that's going to throw me from like, you know, this position. I knew I was winning. I didn't know how close Alana Myers-Taylor, who was the American athlete, was behind me. She was only 200ths behind me. And I've stepped up to go for my final heat. And because she was second, she went just before me, and the crowd was wild. Like, they were so loud, and the commentator was so loud. And I was like, I've been here before. I know what to do. I've just done it recently. Put your blinkers on, be in your zone, remember your cues, and go and execute. And that run was just, it was so exciting for me because, you know, I just was able to use all the energy that I had left, all the lessons I had learned from that season, and just go. And I beat her by like a quarter of a second in one
Wow.
run, which is wild.
That's
you know,
huge in
like,
bobsled. That's massive in bobsled.
yeah. And so I just like, that was just so thrilling. And to top it off, like, our budget had actually run out for that season. And they were like, do you want to, like, Pierre was like, do you want to go overseas and do this? Like, it has to be on your own dime. And I was like, I'm in the running for a crystal globe. Let's do it. I'll throw it on the credit card. She'll be right. And then what was even more exciting to like top that off again, was that I was sitting in fourth place overall. And with that win and what the German athlete, she came fourth. It was the perfect scenario in order for me to jump from fourth position all the way up to second position. So
Wow.
it was just such a cool moment for me to not only get my first gold on a World Cup level, but also then my first crystal globe when I wasn't like, even in the position thinking that I could do that. So yeah, it was a great moment and probably one of my favorite races in my career so far.
What an incredible way of like telling that whole story, though, Bree. That's just insane to think that. And I mean, if I'm not mistaken, not only when you say you broke that track record, it's by about a second as well, though, right? Like we're not talking like a couple of tenths. You smashed that track record, if I'm not mistaken. Like I mean, that just everything about that.
It was pretty big.
Yeah,
which
just
and
crazy.
Luckily, my track record is still standing, especially after the world champs. So I'm still that was a pretty good run. I was pretty
name's still up
that.
there as a number one. That's crazy to think that. Just on the crystal globes quickly, because you got two of them now, like with the size of them. I think back when we used to get Britt Cox on the show a little bit, and we talked about like getting these amazing trophies, right? That you would get. Like, I mean, they're a pretty special trophy, those crystal globes. So when you said you only recently opened it, like, are you very protective of it then and getting it back through, suitcases back into Australia, because they're bloody nice trophies, aren't they?
And they're so heavy. It's like 5 kilos. Like it's not like it's light.
Jetstar away in that bag, I bet.
Yeah, no, I have to carry it with me on the plane because there's no way that I'm putting that under in my suitcase. And currently it's in my car because I'm about to travel from Melbourne back up to my parents' place where all my trophies and stuff live. And it's like I've seat belted it in the passenger seat next to me.
I bet.
So of it. So
wow.
Yeah, no, it's a pretty special trophy, but it is a bit of a pain in the butt to like have to bring it home all the way to Australia. The Europeans are fine, like they can have these big fancy trophies and just drive on home. But for us poor Australians, we have to cart them all the way back to Oz.
I think it was from Greta Small when we had her on once, and she was talking about winning an event, and she won like a bucket of Chupa Chups or something. I want to say it was like it was sort of the unique prizes that she won or something like that. And I'm like, some of these winter events, you get cool prizes, So yeah. If you've ever won Chupa Chups.
They're pretty like cool trophies. Like I've won a few like crystal like trophies. They're just really heavy. And that makes my luggage situation really tricky.
Yes, just a little bit. But given that that's right at the end of the season, you achieve that. I mean, can you, even though you've had a bit of a break between then and then going into the most recent season, can you somehow bottle that momentum and that feeling? Because then going into the season that you've just finished, where, as you were saying before, you finished closer to first overall than you ever have before. You've gotten 2 golds this time around right in the back end of the season. Is there a case of managed to get that momentum, if that makes sense, even though it's such a great break in between the seasons?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Like I pretty much have sat down with my physical coach in the last week and both of us are just really excited on the improvements that we've made, across the off season last year that I was able to transfer that into like my pushing this season. So we now know all of my coaches have pretty much had a plan since the beginning of this Olympic cycle, and all of them have said the plan, it's working. And I'm like, okay, so I'm just going to trust the plan. And so that's what builds my excitement. That's what keeps the momentum going, is that they're telling me their plan is working and it is all coming to fruition. And so that just keeps me motivated, and because each year I've built on the success, and so if I just keep going along with their plan, then the success will just keep coming.
Could also point out that your 3 gold medals at the World Cup have all come on Olympic tracks, right? Lake Placid and 2 in Lillehammer. So they're all
Mhm.
Olympic cities. So just, putting it
Yeah.
out there into the universe and the Olympic connections, right? I mean, touching on what you were saying before, obviously, when it comes to a World Cup being a 2-run event and then a World
Yep.
Champs and obviously Olympics 4-run event. Now, I know you talked about your Olympic experience in Beijing where you obviously had the bad run on your first run and improved enough to get up to 5th.
Mhm.
How hard or is it when it comes to physical, mental to go from a 2-run to a 4-run? Like, and sort of what do you need to do then when it comes into a World Champs and Olympics to sort of be able to make sure you're on top of it all and string 4 good runs together? Because that's double the amount that you're used to during like a World Cup.
Yeah, well, definitely. So for me, what I have done over the last year, like few years, is treated a race weekend because we have monobob on a Saturday and 2-man on a Sunday. I just treat like them like it would be like a world champs or an Olympic games. And so after my monobob race, I would make sure I do my recovery really well, eating, sleeping, doing all the right things in order to be able to prepare for the next day. And then you just kind of go into it with the same mentality that you had the day before. And yes, it's a different event, but I just kind of, I'm like, this is a race weekend. And then that's obviously been able to help me to go into these highlight events and just be like, I've done this like all year long. And I just need to have the same mentality that I have from on the Saturday and continue it on to the Sunday. Our sport, it's a lot of mental work. The greats say, that 90% of the work is mental. And so I do a lot of mindset stuff on the side. I'm still working with Lydia Lassler on that. We've been now working together for quite some time, and it pretty much has gotten to the point where Lyd has taught me all she knows. And it's now just kind of like having it on repeat because it's, even though you get taught how to squat in a gym, if you don't work on that squat, you can't get stronger. And so it's just about repeat and repetition on the things that work for me. And that's like, being able to, whatever that may be, but that's been what's allowed me to go into a race. And I'm just on repeat, like everything is just on repeat, on repeat, on repeat. And, things might come your way, there might be a little injury here and there. Or the weather might be bad, or you might be, in a like a winning position, or you might be behind by a few hundreds and all that. And it's just about adapting really fast to those conditions. And pretty much I'm gonna say I've had every condition thrown at me like that I possibly can over the last, I would say, 4 years from that Olympic Games season before Beijing to now. Even at the last World Champs, like unfortunately I got really, really sick. I had some wild viral infection. And I've worked through sickness before, and I've raced when I've been like sick here and there, and I've been able to push through. But this one I just couldn't push through. And I was wondering, I was like, why am I even competing? Like, this seems wild to be competing when, I know I'm not going to be able to produce the results that I like know I'm capable of. But it is another experience, and it's going to be another thing that I can put in my toolbox and be like, well, you did it. Like, you competed and you still were there and you did it. And, but then also learning like, okay, I need to be really on my hygiene, and especially when it comes towards the end of the season, because a lot of people are getting sick. And you yourself, you're tired and you can be susceptible to sickness. So yeah, it's just a lot of consistent hard work across multiple years. Like, this kind of success hasn't come overnight. Like, it's been multiple years experiencing different things, learning different things, and having them on repeat that's been able to allow me to be as successful as I have been.
Got to say, though, finishing 9th at a world championship when you're not well is pretty all right, though. I mean, it might not be where you want to be at the end of a world championship there, Bree, but I mean, I can't say that, finishing 9th at a world championship when you're not feeling well is also a pretty good achievement, I would say.
Yeah, it's not too bad. I mean, look, Lake Placid isn't for the faint-hearted. It's a really difficult track. and to be able to, make it down Lake Placid when I'm crook as a dog, it is still like really wild for me to think about. But, you know, I would have liked to have done better, especially because of the success that I've had there before, but it is what it is. And I can't take away from the season that I had, and so I still walk away with a smile on my face.
Which this question, again, I feel like the last couple of times I've had you on the show, it's sort of been that weird period where we've had you just on after Beijing and you're sort of like, hey, what's it going to be like for the next Olympics? And you're like, I've just come home from the Olympics. Don't ask me that question. Now I'm asking this question. You've just come back from a season. We're still 10 months out from the Olympics. But what's the mindset like now, Bree, ahead of 2026? Obviously, you're going to be answering this a lot differently if I'm asking you this in January 2026 as opposed to, April 2025. But how are you feeling as of this moment heading into this next Olympics in Italy?
Yeah, I'm feeling really great. I'm really excited for the off season that's ahead of me. We're working on a few specific things this off season in order to be able to, I guess, put the last few pieces of the puzzle together in terms of my physicality. And both me and my coaches, we're really excited to get to work on that. We're really happy with how my sleds are running. And we do still do a little bit of work in the summer on them, even though we can't get on the ice. But yeah, we're really happy with the progress that we're making there. And then just kind of putting the plan together early allows us to, kind of set that aside and be like, the plan's ready in October when we begin season. And so what it does is just kind of allows us to have a narrow focus on the dryland training that we do in the summer. And I say summer because I work in the
Northern Hemisphere summer. Yep.
um, and then it just kind of rolls into the season, and with the plans all set, it just gives us confidence that we can go in there and we don't have to make changes or book things last minute or do all that. We can just go there and focus again on what we need to do when we're over there at sliding and doing our main sliding training and racing.
Is it also a different mindset for you personally that you've ticked off, you're an Olympian now? So the last time, for example, obviously going into Beijing, you would have had Pyeongchang in the back of the mind, how close that came and the heartbreak that came with that. You've now ticked off, you've been to an Olympics. So this is obviously going into it, you've had that experience, you know what it's like. So it's a little bit different this time around, not just trying to qualify. It's more about actually going there to do obviously the gold medal thing that you probably want.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for me, Beijing, I knew I had the skills and attributes in order to be able to win a medal there. And I just didn't have the experience yet. But now I've had the experience in Beijing. I know what to expect. Even when it comes to the media and everything like that kind of all threw me a little bit. I wasn't expecting so much hype around me, but Australians are very lucky in that, we have such a small team. And if you are, you have been doing very well in the years leading up to the games, there's going to be a spotlight on you. And I wasn't really aware of that was going to happen. But now I am. And so I have, I'm very aware of, the position that I'm in, what might be coming my way in the next few months, and especially leading up to those games. And I have good people around me that's going to be able to support me through that. Not saying that I didn't last time, but I think also that caught them off guard too. And but now everybody is prepared for what's coming our way. And we're excited about it. It's not something that we're going to shy away from. We're really excited about the opportunities and that we have lying ahead of us. And the games for us isn't our only focus. Like I've said, I would love to be able to stand on top of the podium for the overall and at the Olympic Games. And so you need to have that consistent result across the whole season in order to be able to win another Crystal Globe for the overall. And then obviously having those consistent performances builds your confidence. And when you get to the Olympic Games, you're in fine form, you're driving well, you're pushing well. and you know that your equipment is running well, and so then that just builds your confidence in order for you to be able to go and do your thing at the highlight event. So yeah, it's all for me. I'm just wanting to take the momentum that I've built across the last few years into this off season, into this season, and just go out and do my thing, because it's been working so far and we're having a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah, just a bit. Do you know much about the track? I mean, I think they're nearly finished it. At least they're getting a track right now in Italy. It didn't look like a year ago we were even going to have a new one. But do you know much about the track and sort of what are the thoughts on what they've produced for the track there in Italy?
Yeah, it's wild. It's all kind of just seems like it's popped up overnight, and they're sliding down the track in Italy right now. And so,
oh wow, there you go.
My coach has been there for the last week, and he's sending me videos of athletes going down the track, and he's already got like a good idea of like how I would need to drive down the track. And so I feel like we're already like really good steps ahead in preparing for these games. And that's just going to, I'm going to be able to go to Cortina in October or at the beginning of November for our test event, right, and already feel like, I'm ahead of the game, or ahead of the game, much more ahead of where I was when I went to Beijing last time around. Last time around, nobody had seen Beijing track before, and we were going there pretty much blind and being like, okay, we'll see how it goes. But this time around, it's very different, and that's just only going to build my confidence being able to slide there, at the beginning of the season and also the Olympic Games.
Have they gone for like a corner like they had in Beijing, that like sort of epic 360 corner? Have they gone for something, to one up the Chinese officials and do something different?
No, there's lots of different elements to this track that makes it very unique. It's very similar to the old Cortina track, so they've kept the heritage of the track there, and they do have fairly long corners. I don't think that there's a kreisel, or maybe there might be one down the bottom, or just like I think there's a big that's a big part of the track that's made up a few corners that make it quite long. Right. I can't quite remember, but it is a very unique track, and it looks pretty fun from the videos that I've seen. It's like, my kind of track that I like, big sweeping corners, and it gets quite fast down the bottom. And so, yeah, I'm pretty excited to go slide there in November.
We're looking forward to seeing it. I was saying to you off air that I've managed to get some tickets for Milano Cortina. I got to say, two of the events I've gotten tickets for free. I've got tickets to the final day of women's monobob, and I've got tickets to the final day of two-woman bobsled as well. So I'm going to be there in the crowd.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'm going to be in the crowd there for you, for both that and you and Chiara. So, I'll make sure you talk about those loud crowds. We're making sure that the Aussies are also making all the extra noise for you as well.
We'll have to make some supporter T-shirts, and then you can...
please do, because I in the lead, every guest we had in the lead up to Paris, who they had a lot of our guests had merch. So I always made sure I went out of my way to buy the merch of any of our guests on this show. So please, if you got supporter tees, if you've got anything, let us know. We'll plug them here on the show, and we'll be there. It's like Cool Runnings, right? When he opens a shirt and it's Team Jamaica, we're all going to be there, like shirt open, Team Bree and Chiara there on the line as well. So yeah, get them made. We'll be wearing them.
All right, cool. I'll get on that. I'll add that to the list of all the things I need.
Just a little list that you've got going there, and I've got to be there afterwards when you're celebrating the gold medal. I'm going to be there first in line to buy you a beer afterwards as well to celebrate it. As well. The other thing to before I get to these final set of questions, these new ones we've got to answer, obviously we know that, you did so well back in Beijing because of your sled being called Ben. We understand that. We've gone over that before. But I thought moving forward, I don't know if it's the same sled or if it's a different sled. Now, I don't have him with me at the moment. We've got a show mascot now, Chairy, which unfortunately he's having a sleep right now. But I thought maybe if you want to rename the sled to Chairy, the reason I put this out there for you, Bree, is that we had sailor Gray Morris in Paris name his boat Chairy, and he won a silver medal in Paris. Oh. So, I mean, we obviously want you to win the gold, but I mean, I'm sure you'd be happy with the silver as well. But I'm just saying, Chairy has got good form when it's having things named after him. So for for Milano Cortina, Ben can be retired and you can use Chairy moving forward if you like.
I mean, I don't like as in cherry, like the fruit cherry.
No,
Like
like so it's like a chair, but with a Y at the end. So Chairy. So there's a whole story. Colin threw a chair. So we've got a mascot of a chair. I'll pull a photo of him up because, again, I do have a plushie of Chairy. But I just for you, like if that helps you moving forward, then actually, you know what I can do here? Hang on. This is great for our video people. Hang on 1 second. I've got a T-shirt here with him on the back of it. Him climbing the Eiffel Tower. There he is.
oh my God, this is hilarious.
Yeah. So there you go. We'll get you a Chairy. We'll get you some sort of we had pins made
of.
of.
Get me a Chairy. I'll put him in the front of my truck, and he can be our team mascot this season. How about that?
100%. You know I'm going to do it now, Bree. That's
Yeah,
we have to do it.
Do that. He can travel around with us, and he can be our support mascot all year.
Done. I'm going to add that to my not as long as your list, but that will be on that one, and we'll get you one out before that season for sure. 100%. It's done. Good. All right. Now, Bree, we've got a set of 10 questions. We call this the OTP 10, different to the ones we would have asked you many, many years ago when we first got you on the show. These are more standardized ones. Start off with the first one. What is the one thing you never leave home without when traveling to a competition? And you're not allowed to answer bobsled because I assume that would be the obvious answer.
I would say my laptop.
Your laptop. Yes, that helps.
Yeah, no. Oh, also my headphones, actually. Like I always am listening to music, and that creates a really good vibe for me. So I'm going to say a set of headphones. My phone, my laptop, and my headphones come with me everywhere.
There's going to be a related question to music, but are you like a Beats girl? Like, do you have what sort of branding?
Yeah, over the head, and pretty much at the track, you probably won't see like me without them. Sometimes I don't even have music happening. I just don't want to talk to anyone.
We all do it. Let's be honest. We all do it at some point, right? Oh, I've totally got headphones. I'm listening to music. Don't annoy me. What is a traditional superstition you follow before every big competition?
Oh, I wear the same underwear and crop top. Okay. Always. Yeah,
easy.
That's for me. And then I must say, a tradition that I have brought back in this season, and every time I've done it, I've won a medal, and I'm just going to have to do it. I always eat a Snickers the night before a race.
Wow. Okay.
It's something that I started like back in the day when I first started doing monobob, and it was a tactic in order for me to put on weight. Because I like bobsleigh is a gravity sport, and our body weight is a big part of it. Yep. And I always just found that I needed that little bit of an extra energy boost. So I just used to eat a Snickers before a race, and then I started winning medals. And I've every time I've done it, I've gone and won a race. So I'm like, I've won a medal. So I'm like, okay, we're bringing back this tradition.
Two things I see on that. What was that ad campaign? It was like, you're not yourself unless you have a Snickers or whatever it was. And also sponsorship. Come on, get on board Snickers.
I know. I need to get in contact with them and tell them that they're the reason that I'm winning medals.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how much trouble you'd get into if you win gold at the Olympics and you just whip open a Snickers bars at the finish line. I mean, it's probably, it doesn't go well with the Olympic sponsors, so I don't think they sponsor the Olympics. But hey, Snickers are going to like it, right? Guerrilla advertising.
Yep. And I also braid my hair for every race. So I have a few things that I can control always. They're probably they're my main ones.
I like this is why we ask that question, because we like hearing it. Like, it's a sort of superstitions work, and I think we need to learn about them. On the music front, what's a song that is on every one of your pre-competition playlists, no matter what?
I listen to the full Beyonce Renaissance album before every race.
Perfect.
And honestly, it's become it has become a part of my routine. So when a certain song plays, I know I need to be doing this part of my warm up. When a certain song plays, I need to be going to get changed. Like it really is just now part of my routine, but it does hype me up, does get me really excited. And it's worked. I must say I'm getting kind of sick of it. I've listened to it so many times. And I love it at the end of every year. Spotify gives you like a recap of like your
Yeah.
year of listening. And I'm like in the top like 5% in the world of like listening to of a Beyonce fan. And I'm just like, it's
Wow.
purely because of my racing. So
Hey,
thanks, Beyonce. You know,
I
I'm one
mean,
of your number one fans.
Snickers on board and Beyonce congratulating you for a gold medal after. I mean, it could be worse.
Yeah.
So I like that. What is the most unexpected or funny DM you have ever gotten as an Olympian?
Oh, oh my gosh. It was so funny actually. It was a very long time ago, but it was a girl who dressed up for me as me for a party. She needed to dress up as like as someone from the same letter as her like
Right. Yep.
start of her name.
Yep.
And she dressed up as Bobsled Bree.
Wow. That's
That was
awesome.
that was pretty funny.
You've
Yeah,
made
that
it
was a very
then.
long that was a really long time ago too. That was back in like 2018. But
Oh,
like
this
that
is like
I
this
still
is pre-household name Bobsled Bree. She's a true fan. Wow.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
I
Love
actually
that.
feel like she messaged me a lot like just recently, and like that's why I remember it. I can't remember why, but yeah, it was. Or maybe I saw the picture. I don't know, but it was pretty funny.
I was going to say, did you see like what it looked like afterwards? You know, and like, is it true? Like, do you look at that? Go, okay, yeah, pretty good job there. I don't know. That's amazing. All the people going as Ray Gun recently, they need to go more as Bobsled Bree. That's all I say. What is the weirdest thing that you have ever eaten at an international competition, and did you like it?
Oh, weirdest thing. I'm trying to think of like a place in like what I ate in China or in Norway.
Hmm.
No, I can't like
Can't think of
there
anything.
hasn't been anything strange, I must
Okay.
say, because I'm also quite fussy. I
Yeah.
like
Yeah, that's
if
fair enough. That works. If you're not going to go out there and eat the weird stuff, then that, you know, like it works. You got to do what's working for you, right, with your nutritional balances, and it's not always just Snicker bars. Essentially, is what we're saying.
no. But yeah, no,
Yeah,
I'm not. I like I am adventurous when it comes to food, but not weird.
not weird. Yep, no, that's completely fine. Speaking of food, though, I mean, what is your ultimate guilty pleasure meal after a big competition?
Oh, if I have the accessibilities for it, I'm like making pancakes.
Oh yes, yum.
Yeah,
Good
with a lot
answer.
of maple syrup. Like,
Oh,
yeah,
yes. And you're based in the right place for it in Canada,
I
right?
know.
The home of it. Oh, just you got to keep eating it. If you could swap sports for a day with any other Olympian, what event would you choose, and how do you think you'd go?
I have like really enjoyed learning and watching cycling over the last few years.
Okay.
Just like through a few different people have like come into my life that have done cycling previously, and they've taught me a little bit about it, and I really enjoy it, and so I think I would love to try cycling, and I think I would be pretty good at it.
Yeah,
I don't know,
I
but
think
I'm
you'd
the
be
kind
all
of
right.
person that I'm the kind of person that I think I would be like, if I like it enough, I think I'd be pretty good at it. So
It's the Olympian's
I just
mindset. I
think
mean,
it's
you got to be. You've got to be thinking that you're going to be good at it, right?
yeah. So I just think speed and the tactics of it. And look, I know it's probably a lot harder than I think, but it's power based. It's speed. It's like racing. I just think I'd love it.
Would you be like track? Are we talking like road, BMX? Like what would you be doing?
No. I like definitely velodrome style.
Velodrome. Okay. Yeah, no, I can see it.
Keep me on a track. Like
Yeah.
I have
Which, I mean, we see a lot
yeah.
of cyclists go into speed skating, right? Because of the leg work. So I'm trying to think the winter correlations. So
Yeah.
get into cycling, do really well. Speed skating,
My
you do 3.
Yeah, my coach's daughter does speed skating, and I also
Ah.
really love watching that. And I always say, I'm like, I reckon I'd be pretty good at that. I just wouldn't know how to slow down.
That might be needed, I think, kind of
Yeah.
at the end of the day. If your Olympic journey were a movie, what would the title be and who would play you?
Oh, we have like this question like within our team a lot.
Okay.
And I would love somebody like Anne Hathaway or Sandra Bullock to play me.
I see it. Yep.
And yeah, like, Pierre's even talked about having like Arnold Schwarzenegger play him. We've got other different. I can't.
You've cast the whole movie. You're
Yeah,
scripting it.
We do. We say this all the time, but we don't know the title yet.
Well, can I give you some suggestions? So what I'm doing now with this question is I go to ChatGPT and I'm like, give us some suggestions, right? So they've given me a few here. Frozen in Flight, Blazing Ice, Run, Push, Glide. We've got White Lightning, but I like this one, Cold Pursuit, the Breeana Walker story.
Right? I like it. That last, I was like, the other ones are too corny for me. Sorry, but that one, that's not too bad.
There's also got one here, Sled Storm. That sounds like a techno song, like Sandstorm, like you could just have that as the theme. Sled Storm.
Oh my God, hilarious.
Take those with your casting because you've got half the movie fixed. You just need the title. So There you go. What is one question that you're tired of being asked, and what's the one you wish people would ask you instead?
The one that I'm tired of being asked because I'm very confused about it. I get it, but do I drive with my feet? Like that because of rowing? I think people think I drive with my feet.
Is that a luge thing as well? Because they steer with their feet in luge as well, don't they?
Maybe, I don't know. It always throws me when somebody asks me
interesting
question.
Yeah.
But yeah, the one that I want them to ask me instead, that's a good question. I don't know.
Not one that
like,
stands out. It's not
like
sharing some part of it. That's
Yeah, I probably just like how do you drive? Like, how do you drive a sled instead of being like, do you drive?
Not with your feet. Not with your feet, to clarify. Okay. That's fascinating. I'd never thought that would be a thing that people would ask a bobsledder. Interesting. Last one for you, Bree. What is one lesson you've learned more from losing that has shaped you more than winning?
I feel like the story that I just told about the world champs in Winterberg is like probably been the biggest lesson that I've learned. Like, just got to stick to your routine, stay in your zone. And I feel like with losing comes winning. And I think it's the hardest lessons to learn is from losing, but I do think they're the most valuable lessons. So yeah, I don't mind losing if there's a lesson involved.
Great answer. That's powerful. I like that. Wow, that's a perfect way to close it out. Bree, always an absolute pleasure to have you on this show. We've got all fingers, toes, everything crossed for you between now and Milan, obviously, next year, and we'll get you back on after the show. We'll get you on in person, essentially. We're going to be there, so we're so excited, and Chairy will be on the journey with you in the lead up to while we're wearing the Bree Walker t-shirts.
Oh, yes, I'll get them out for you for sure. No, thanks, Ben. It's been a great chat.